Okay, let's talk about the issue that came out in January 1997. Silicon Graphics, Killer 3D Workstation, NetWare and Web, 8 web authoring tools, span every need. That is an awful way to group several words together. The title of this issue, though, Can Java Replace Windows? The reviews are in. Over here, in the past year, Micron Electronics has won nearly 100 awards for product performance, customer service, and support. Do these magazines always start with an ad, followed by another ad? In this case, you wouldn't let your beets get mixed up with your potatoes, so why let your data slop into the operating systems on your hard disk? What an awful way to think about these things. Now you can organize and protect everything on your hard disk with Magic Partition 3.0. No thanks. We'll skip past the table of contents, though I love seeing the Netscape emblem. Also skipping the index there. Skip past the IQ software ad. Real quick, the editor-in-chief is Mark Schlack. The vice president and publisher is John Griffin. This is an issue, January 1997 issue. That means we're getting close to the end of Byte Magazine's run here. But in these videos, I'm going to start working my way backwards. So this is an interesting editorial. Living dangerously, the computer industry is engaged in a platform war. Which side should you be on? In one of my favorite movies, The Year of Living Dangerously, Linda Hunt explains to Mel Gibson how the shadow puppets of Java mimic the relationship between gods and the people. The puppeteer moves the puppets behind the curtain, so the audience sees only shadowy projections of the gauzy material. Our cover story this month takes on the issue of Java as the development platform. Following on our November cover story about Java chips, Java software is clearly a broader platform than the chips, and we explain why. Alright, so I had to look up this movie, Living Dangerously. Never heard of it, and it looks like it was one of his early films, so of course I never heard of it. I wonder if in the context of this article, when they say Java, they mean the island? Okay, so we're going to skip this paragraph entirely. Byte has always taken the position that there is no one true computer platform for everyone, and will continue to be skeptical about anyone who says there is. That goes for Wintel, as well as its challengers. So here's our scorecard. Wait, a scorecard? Didn't you just say you're going to say there's no winner or one true platform for everyone? Anyways, the NC, the network computer, comes in two distinctively different flavors, anti-Intel and anti-Microsoft. I like the sound of this already. Well, actually, it's more like two different kinds of swirl cones. One's more chocolate and the other's more vanilla. Sun's anti-Intel thrust starts with its Java chip. Others use different RISC chips. While Sun has its own servers, there's no reason you couldn't run Java apps off any other server. You can even run Windows apps in emulation mode at roughly $1,500 for a fully configured system. This is worth some serious thought for users with a few dedicated computing tasks of low to moderate complexity and little need for multiple peripherals. You'll save on the admin side. Oracle, on the other hand, thinks Microsoft Windows NT doesn't cut it. It has a better idea, an Oracle server feeding lots of low-cost, the now legendary $500 machine, low-function Intel boxes. After all, Intel's the volume client leader. Give this theory serious thought if your aim is to push an application or service into many hands that previously haven't used a computer. The Web TV. You know your aunt and uncle who are on email now? Perfect for them. Plus, they can see your website during the commercials. So far, this is the only really sub-$500 platform out there. The Net PC. The network PC is a cheap PC, folks. Microsoft and Intel are making a lot of noise about making it easier to configure and manage. Wasn't that what Plug and Play was about? But this time they might mean it. Competition does have its value. If they can deliver, the Net PC is the right platform for what I'll call the low power user. Many office workers don't really stress a computer, but they do a variety of things. Use a variety of peripherals, scanners, digital cameras, barcode readers, and need the flexibility of a machine with slots and hard drives. In the coming months, you'll hear lots of appeals from all these gods as they fight behind the curtains. Computing is too pervasive and important to survive on one model anymore, whether it's Wintel or one of the challengers. What we all must insist on is that none of these can't build walls between their hardware and software and that of their competitors. Which brings us back to Java. As we move into a world that's about to have many more islands of computing, we may at last have a platform that bridges them. If the various gods behind the curtain don't create a host of competing virtual machines and extensions that recreate the non-standard world of Unix, we'll get that platform. But to do so, we may have to pull back the curtain and force those squabbling gods to keep to the promise of Java, or live dangerously. I really like that editorial, Mark Slot. Alright, I just sent him an email too to see if this address still works. Looking for a simulation system that has it all? Oh, the email came back. Unknown recipient. Address not found. So let's scroll past these cool images. Not this one. Let's zoom out. It's probably the worst advertisement I've seen in Byte magazine. I literally have one of these in my garage, and I think the exact make and model you see right there. And I love seeing that Windows logo. But let's go down to the inbox. This is where people wrote letters to Byte Web NFS at the limit, a file system for the web. So they must be referring to this November 96 issue. Was excellent at the layout of the protocol diagrams, with each protocol having its own horizontal displacement, is brilliant. Thanks too for stressing the limits of Web NFS. It's important to set expectations correctly. Web NFS is a file system technology that has some overlap with HTTP, but it's not an HTTP replacement. And I'll skip the question they ask and the answer Bob gives. I love any Unix-related topics though, so I'll read this one. The real 64-bit OS. I was disappointed to see no mention of Linux, and Unix leads a 64-bit charge. From the November 96 issue. A Linux for the Digital Equipment Alpha has been available for over a year, is rock solid, and is 64-bit through and through. It's also worth noting that the developers in the Linux Sparc project are aiming for a 64-bit implementation on the Ultrasparc. There's a good possibility that it will be available before Sun produces a true 64-bit Solaris. And let's see how they respond. It seems unlikely for Unix. Is this a response? Yep, it seems unlikely for Unix to lead the 64-bit charge when AS400 is already there, while OS400, the OS, is mentioned several times, and Unix leads the 64-bit charge. AS/400, the hardware system product, is not, and neither one is put into any context. If OLTP, data warehousing, and content management are interesting to Byte's readership, then a full description should be of real interest. While the Unixoids have been playing in the 64-bit space for a while, there are few real 64-bit applications to exploit it. C and C++ implementations are not truly portable and require significant recording to work correctly in a 64-bit address space, let alone fully exploit it. The largest volume of 64-bit software by any measure, that is lines of code, yuck, fully enabled applications and systems deployed, is written in RPG and COBOL and runs on the AS400. I just want to write all these emails down and try each one and see if anybody replies. Alright, so I took my notes over here. I could just summarize this by saying we've seen custom C chips, ADA chips, and even basic chips. So that's an interesting approach. I didn't know chip makers went through a phase like that. Yeah, but rather than read these emails and responses, I want to read the articles that they're actually talking about. Maybe I should make a video connecting those. Does anybody out there use CAD on Windows 95 or Windows NT right now? How's these prices compared to the CAD prices nowadays? Here's some phone numbers for you to try. I've never heard of Microtek's VRTX. And don't think I'm too crazy for always talking as I move through the magazine. It is part of my recording process. I went to data.com just now. Looks like it's owned by Salesforce. You know, the company where the CEO bought Time magazine? If anybody is interested in web tools, sorry, I'm skipping right past those articles. Security is cool though, so check that picture out. Microsoft's API for smart cards insulates software developers from having to become cryptography experts. Here's Optima++, a rad tool that aces the competition. They're still using the word rad in 1997, and will skip past wireless PDAs. Ooh, there's a bug of the month. HTML stymies Netscape Navigator. Even the relatively simple HTML can be used to do bad things. Richard Smith, president of Farlap Software, a vendor of programming tools, discovered a way to disrupt Netscape Navigator using plain old HTML. First, create an HTML file named boom.htm, whose contents include this. So we have image sources pointing to com1234 and then AUX. Compose an email message that contains boom.htm as an attachment and send it to someone. When the recipient reads the email message from the Netscape mail program, Navigator locks up when the mail program attempts to display this. The lockup occurs because Navigator is trying to read a GIF file from serial ports COM1 through COM4 because no data is coming through these ports. Navigator hangs, and when the target device name is AUX, the computer might lock up completely. Is this the birth of trolling here? That is a cool idea, having a bug of the month, and Netscape says it'll have that bug fixed when you upgrade to Navigator 3.0. To call it lightweight would be a big mistake. Kingston's Data Express DE90. North America stands poised to finally enter the age of the true electronic information superhighway. Now, APC is still a company. Some of the companies we'll see in these magazines no longer exist. Is this an example? Minitab statistical software? Minitab Inc., making data analysis easier. At first I thought this was an article, but it's actually an ad. Cool graphics, bro. Why Java won't repeat the mistakes of Unix. But I'm not going to read that interview. Byte Extra International. Is this like a random table of contents in the middle of the magazine? Look at that, ISO 9001. Oh, look at this. Acer IBM forged deeper partnership. In a deal that reflects the ongoing breakdown of the traditional PC manufacturing model, IBM recently signed a $1.8 billion agreement with rival company Acer, under which the Taiwan firm will build and distribute as many as 80,000 desktop PCs per month for resale under the IBM logo. Wow, just wow at how things used to work. Gotta love the pie chart in the bar chart there. Nice, I have some hardware sitting on a carpet. Yes, it runs with NetWare. Fault-resistant RAID in 30 minutes or less. And we're talking RAID levels 0, 1, 1+1, 4, and 5. Digital watermarking is the best way to protect intellectual property from illicit copying. So here's what they are talking about when they say digital watermarks. But there are two different categories of watermarking tools available. Check out this acronym. The first one is based on fingerprinted binary information, FBI. The other based on watermarking techniques developed by NEC research in the University Catholique de Louvain in Belgium, identifies documents by hidden numbers, just called fingerprints. Other approaches such as SciCop, System for Copyright Protection, developed at the Fraunhofer Institute of Computer Graphics, Digimarc from Digimarc, Portland, Oregon, and Argent from DICE, can encode additional identification information such as the author's name or the ISBN number of a book. These are pretty cool. They say storage automation. I'm not sure how the automation plays a role in this storage, but I do think they look cool. Is this a conference that still happens? Cebit? Oh, you can cut this off with scissors and register. Silicon Graphics Wintel Killer. Ooh, look at the street price, $8,342. 128 megabytes of RAM, 512 kilobytes of L2 cache. Yeah, kilobytes, huh? And then a massive 2 gigabyte SCSI hard drive. 2 of them, sorry. Just when NT-based Pentium Pro PCs are looking like hot 3D machines, Silicon Graphics Inc. introduces the sexy Blue O2. Replacing the indie and SGI's workstation lineup, the O2 is built from scratch to handle complex video and graphics, and street prices starting below $6,000. Why doesn't it say that over here? Who's the editor here that missed that? Is that the guy I emailed just now? Anybody remember the word Alta Vista? It says here that it is without a doubt the search engine of choice for the internet. Not all virus detection software is created equal. Most aren't even close. You can get a free virus evaluation by going to drsolomon.com. I wonder how this software works. Well, I think that's enough for this video. There might be a need for a part 2, but I'm at the end of my scrolling abilities for tonight, so thanks for watching.